In recent weeks, oil prices have come into sharp focus as a typical first-order economic impact of any Middle Eastern tensions. Naturally, there remains potential for the conflict in Israel and Gaza to exacerbate market supply-side tensions, so we watch this with great interest. Immediately following the news, oil prices did jump, with Brent crude rising to a touch under $91 per barrel. While an increase, it remains lower than the highs back in late September, where it reached approximately $94.50 per barrel, and it does show signs of easing. But the oil price is still some way higher than the cyclical low point in June, where it was trading at around $71 per barrel, and certainly consumers are feeling it at the pump. We raise these figures as evidence that geopolitical impacts continue to arise, and the next couple of years won't be easy. But we also encourage you not to get too caught up in the headlines and the predictions of doom and gloom. Consider our ongoing survey of leading economists. There's no recession forecast, although you can run the numbers for a technical recession by Xing out population growth. But low growth is far better than no growth, and streets ahead of negative growth. Unemployment is set to remain within the historic full employment range this year and next. Following the post-COVID jump in house prices, prices came back, but we avoided the cyclical bust, and we now appear to be in a low but positive growth environment. Most groups have turned away from 17 to 20% fall predictions to now predict modest increases this year and next. Inflation is set to end 2024 with a 3 handle and return towards the top of the Reserve Bank's target range by mid-2025. But we never know what's around the corner, and the risks of things getting worse still outweigh the risks of things getting materially better. It is a narrow path after all. With the Israel conflict escalating, what impacts will this have on supply-side constraints as a driver of a second inflationary event? Likewise, will fuel prices rise higher and add to inflation numbers, or will they act as a tax of sorts, softening spending levels? These will all be closely watched by our regulators when looking at interest rate settings. On that note, each day market interest rate expectations change. We were widely considered to be at peak, with the bear case still for one more increase. The more bearish analysts have dialed back their calls for 2 more rate hikes, but think the central bank may go one last time in November. The wider market disagrees with that bearish analysis, suggesting 4.1 to remain through November. Coalescing around interest rate settings is the impact of the so-called fixed rate cliff, and so far, this event has now passed its peak without a noticeable increase in mortgage arrears across the market. The level of refinancing activity in the market is at or around its highest ever level. So, not only are people not falling rapidly into arrears, they're also not trapped in their mortgages, as some had suggested may occur. Yes, mortgage arrears through COVID were barely a blip on the radar compared to the earlier GFC events, and have moved to cyclically low levels since. While we're talking about the mortgage sector, the latest APRA mortgage origination numbers for borrowers considered riskier, i.e. with a total debt-to-income ratio of greater than 6 times, has fallen from a peak of 24.3% in December 2021 and is now at just 6.1% of all loan originations. This is the resilience of the Australian economy playing out in real time. To that end, this looks like walking the narrow path for now, even amid all the various geopolitical issues and economic grindwork being undertaken. We're looking like avoiding a recession, maintaining full employment, and without a crash in house prices, all the while inflation returning to target and interest rates appearing to stabilise. There's a lot to consider, and it is a narrow path indeed. Thank you for watching.